That's so weird.
not something I'm interested in, but
I understand.
but it is an interesting news cycle. Yeah.
From our part of the world, it's a whole, like we have to rethink the whole way the world works. So it's quite surprising.
Yeah.
Okay, then just another back to the sport then. Looking at the tour, you're coming with different agendas to the tour this year. As we spoke to Wout, he hopes to, of course, have his own chances. Jonas will be doing the Giro this year, so it'll be a bit different with him as well. How about you? Do you hope to get your own chances at the tour as well?
I think, it's no different than the other years. I have always hoped to have an opportunity to go for a stage win, but the focus will be with Jonas and the GC for all of us.
Mm. And also for you, you won't be going hunting stages. It seems then, like as a primary goal at least.
No, like I said, I always hope for an opportunity to go for a stage, and that comes out of circumstance in the race. If that can come up, and if there's a day that is free for me to go in the break, or Wout to go in the break, or whatever. But at starting the race, we don't have that in mind. It's all about Jonas.
I spoke to your nutritionist, chief nutritionist, Søren Laursen. He spoke a bit about something you might want to change for next year, and he spoke about that you guys may perhaps underfuel during the tour because of the mental load that the tour has, because it's such an intense race. Is that something you felt during the tour that it takes a toll on you that's different from other races, and that you need to compensate for that?
It's not something that I know much about. It's not my field, but it's for sure a stressful race, and I didn't feel underfueled last year, but it's possible.
Matteo, what do you make of Jonas opting to race the Giro and the Tour with the kind of new approach? Obviously, he'll still be supporting the Tour, but that big change from him from, I think he kind of said in the presentation, of altitude Dauphiné, altitude Tour, maybe just that reset to the Giro. What was your reaction to him making that choice?
I think I have a lot of confidence in it, because I think Jonas is someone that gets a lot from winning races, and when he's confident, he races really well. And I saw that at the Vuelta, but I also saw it in the past when he was winning the Tour. And I think I really back his decision, because I think I'm hoping that he can get his hands in the air a few times in the Giro and win some stages, and hopefully the overall, and then show up to the Tour with much less pressure and much more kind of ease to himself, and actually just like joy, because a lot of times when you just are at altitude the whole year and alone, and I mean, he's with the team, but he's not racing, and he's just thinking about the Tour, it can build a lot of stress.
And it's quite a big change for you, well, a massive change for you in your calendar. Was that the right time for you to kind of make a reset and change from the calendar that you've been doing the last couple of years, and kind of do away with those couple races and Paris, sadly, and really switch over to that Italian Classics block and then the Ardennes? Why was that such a kind of the moment to make that change for you?
I just think last year I watched the Ardennes and I really wanted to be there, and I just asked at that point in the spring last year if I could do the spring differently the next year. And I think not going to the cobbled classics is just because I really want to be good at the Ardennes, and to do that I think I want to go to altitude before then, so that forces me to skip those cobbled classics, because I'll be at altitude.
You talked before about wanting to have the opportunity to lead in Grand Tours, and with Jonas doing the Giro and the Tour this year, and no set GC leader for the Vuelta, do you feel like it's a bit of a match made in heaven?
For what exactly?
To race the Vuelta, potentially as a GC leader in the Grand Tour for the first time.
I'm not planning on going to the Vuelta. I'm going to do the World Championships instead, and Lombardy afterwards.
Mm-hmm. In the first part of the season, you're only going to do one stage race, which is Tirreno Adriatico. Is that a conscious choice, or perhaps doing something more similar to what riders like Van der Poel and Pogacar have been doing the last few years, with less stage races but more one-day races?
I think in the end it'll be quite similar to what I've been doing, actually. If just one stage race, because in the past I only did Paris before Dauphiné, and I think it works well for me. Yeah, I think in general racing less and having like showing up to every race prepared is what works well for me.
Mm-hmm. Is there a specific reason why you're doing Swiss instead of the Dauphiné this year?
Yeah, the Ardennes Classics are a little bit later, so I mean I'm hoping to have a peak in form around then, which is a bit later than typically with March and then taking a break after Flanders. This year I'll take a break after Liège,
Mm-hmm.
which will be a bit later, and so I won't actually be with the team for the first I think 10 days of their Sierra camp for the tour.
Yeah.
I'll show up a bit later, and which will delay kind of everything, so I wouldn't be ready for Dauphiné, and I think Swiss is just it makes more sense with timing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
How well do you know the new faces coming into the team? There are proved talents like Bruno Armirel, guys that already played important roles in Grand Tours, especially, but also are them aspirants like Louis Barret. How well do you know them, and what do you think they can bring to the team in a year where a lot of important riders left and a lot of riders came into the squad, so that there must be somewhere between the season. I think you guys must find the right balance. Where do you think that could happen? Is it important to, like for you in your case, to ride with Louis Barret, which should go to the Ardennes as well, or is that not important at all and training camps take care of that business?
No, I think it's important to get used to the new riders. Those two you just mentioned, I think it's fun for me getting more French guys in the team because it means that I can practice my French more. And Bruno also is a little bit less like English speaking right now. At least he was in December. I think he's already learned a lot since then. But it's just nice getting to be on the other side of. I was once English-speaking rider in a French team, and I know what it's like, so I can kind of relate. And I think in general, though, getting so many new riders in the team is always you just have to get to know them, and it takes time with any relationship to sit down with them and talk, and also you spend a lot of time riding and at training camps with them, so it happens quite naturally, I think, but it does require intention. Like for me, for the spring, I'm going to be racing with a lot of new riders, especially compared to the past years where it's been I've been like really with a very similar group of riders through the whole year. This year I'll be with a lot of the Italian guys and like the new Filippo and Davide. I'll be with them in Tirreno and Strade, and then in the Ardennes I'll be with Louis, as you were saying, and I think I'm not sure if Davide does. He must do the Giro, so I think there'll be some other new riders with me in the Ardennes, but it's just a matter of training with them and talking and getting to know them.
With the fact that the guys that left had important roles in the team, guys like you who already have a few years in this business structure, do you think you need to step up a little bit to fill that void somehow? Is it possible? Because I know that we can't replace people, but in terms of sporting skills, do you think it's perhaps an opportunity and a challenge at the same time to step up?
Yeah, I think that's something I haven't really thought about, but that's true. That I think it's important for me this year to step up and be a leader in some cases, especially in my spring with so many of the new guys, and I'll be sometimes I think the rider that's been on the team the longest in the races I do, maybe, but other than Ado, or I'm not sure. But I think it'll be important to just try to welcome everyone and make sure everyone is on the same page.
Jonas was talking about feeling refreshed, re-energized. You're having a bit of a different calendar. Is this just two isolated cases, or does there feel like there's a reset within the team? Not that last year was bad of course, but you know, but yeah, is there a big team reset or something?
Mm-hmm. I think it is true that the management sat down last fall and they thought a little bit about like what we can improve, and they definitely, I think they definitely realized that they should, like, they want to listen to our desires a little bit more this year, and I think it's quite clear. You can see in the calendars that, like, as riders we were given choice to choose a little bit of our own calendar, and they really listened. I think especially in Jonas's case, because I think it was difficult for them to let go of this, like, formula that they had perfected for so long with showing up to the tour ready, and because they know also that it works. They won the tour twice with it, and so it was difficult for them to give that up. But Jonas asked many times if he could do something different and approach the tour in a different way, and I honestly applaud them for it, because it's not an easy thing to do when you know you have something that works.
Yeah. Is that input, does that go on throughout the season? Like, is there a lot of, I don't know if you say to them in March, actually, you know what, I don't want to do the Athens. Like, is that input constant?
Yeah, I think in this team, like, when you make a calendar, they really try to stick with it. I can't really, I mean, it's not fair to anyone to change your mind, because there's so much planning that goes into it, and also it would never be my desire unless something were really to happen where I would get an injury or get sick. I feel like we've made a plan now that makes a lot of sense and that everyone believes in. So for me, I think it's not going to change much.
Which Athens works for you best? Amstel?
I think Liège is a race that, I don't know, it's a race that I've watched on, I mean, I've done it a few times, but I've also watched it the past couple of years, and I've just always wanted to be there, because those longer climbs I feel like are good for me, and might be a little bit better than the Flemish ones.
Do you have to go before, was it 36k, is that when everyone goes? Do you have to go before then? Or?
I can't disclose that with you.
I was wondering, Matteo, we're speaking a lot about Simon already, of course, from other members of the team, but I was just wondering, how were you notified about him wanting to retire, and what was your response, and how did you feel about it?
Grisha gave me a call. It was like a few nights ago. It was not very long ago. And he just told me that they had gotten word from Simon that he was retiring, and that they were going to have to think through how the changes would happen. And as far as my thoughts, I honestly don't think it's somewhere that, like, I'm even, like, my opinion in someone else's life is not really, like, I don't judge people for the decisions they make, and I actually come away with it with even more respect for him, because I know that it's a decision that wasn't easy. Like, I can only imagine, and I'm sure he has good reasons, and he has, you know, you only know someone's experience when you're the one living it, and so I think for him, I just applaud that he was willing to take a hard decision and be confident with it, and yeah, I can't do more than that.
So it was a big shock for the team, obviously, everybody has said that, and now you're gathered here at this camp for the first time since it happened. How have you been talking about this amongst yourself, like you do here, or has there been other opinions as well? Like, how do you talk about it?
No, we've all kind of, I mean, on various rides, and when you come back together with guys, it comes up because it just happened, and none of us were like, it's not like Simon was talking about it last year or was something that was on his mind. I mean, at least publicly or with us, probably with his intimate circle and the people that he's close with, it was something he talked about, but he was very professional last year, and, like, raced. He was always very present in all the races and training camps that I was with him at, and as far as, like, the communication I have with my teammates now, it's like, yeah, we just talk about, were you surprised by it? Like, did you get any feeling that he was already like checked out or anything? And none of us really can, because he was last year, like, so professional and was really like the full Simon Yates in every race that he was at.
Yeah, maybe even better than ever. Like, he was at a very high level last year.
Yeah, and that's the thing. you don't know, like I didn't win the Giro, and then like I don't know what that experience is like, so I can't like judge him for it, because all I saw him at was Tignes, which was basically he won the Giro, and a few days later drove to altitude and joined me and the other guys preparing for the tour.
Yeah.
And all that I thought then was like, wow, this guy is extremely dedicated.
Yeah.
And he was. I mean, that's an extremely hard thing to do. He didn't have any like celebration, or, you know, people I think imagine you win a Grand Tour and you go out and like celebrate for a while, but it's not really the reality of cycling. There's always another race. So I think, I just in love with admiration.
Does the management like speak at the dinner table about this when you gather, or is it just something you speak about more informally, or like has it been addressed by management, for example, here at the team camp?
Here at the camp, I mean, we arrived yesterday, so there hasn't been like some formal meeting about it. But like I said, Grisha, I think, called most of the guys that were racing with him last year and notified them, and we all talk about it. I mean, it's not like there's nothing to hide. We all talk about it.
You seem very open about it, yeah, speaking about it.
Yeah.
Sounds like you'd be a great poker player.
Who, me? Simon?
Yeah. Straight face, and actually he's
You should
really
recommend.
handsome.
I'm sure he's wondering what he's going to do, so you should recommend it.
Getting back to the Ardennes, what is your first memory from the Ardennes Classics, and why do you like to ride those type of races so much, especially Liège? Because you mentioned specifically Liège not only as the race that could suit you the most, but also because I think it's the oldest, La Doyenne.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you relate to those races?
I mean, I think I remember watching like many editions, and for some reason I have like a memory of Fuglsang, when he won Liège, and his like near crash on the descent into Liège. That's something that's stuck in my mind. But also, I raced Liège with Alejandro, and I think it was his last time doing Liège, and he had won Liège I don't know how many times, but I just remember his like passion for the race, and the night before that edition, like we watched a bunch of Alejandro's victories at Liège, and I remember just being like, I remember having like fun and exciting emotions about the race, and looking forward to it, and I think it's a special and historical race, and something that I just want to do again, because I think it's something that suits me well.
Did you also spend some time since you guys usually when you compete for the national team in your junior years, you also spend many times in the Dutch Limburg, which is close to Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
Does that influence? I think the influence must be obvious, but how were those years for you, and how important were they in terms of your culture of cycling? You know, like trying to experience the most traditional cycling nations in the world, especially for you being non-European American. How was that whole experience?
I think I definitely think like that area of Limburg, those were my first experiences in Europe. Were coming with the national team when I was like, my first time was when I was 14 years old. I came with the national team, and we stayed in Sittard, and we trained on all of those climbs, the Kauberg and the Triple Point climb, and I don't even know the Dutch names for all those climbs yet, but they're roads that I know well, and they're like that experience, and being in that place is my first memories of Europe as a kid. So I have definitely some kind of emotional connection to it.
I want to bring it back to something that you mentioned about Simon, which is that after the Giro victory, he had only a few days to rest and celebrate before he went on to training camp. But whilst this is something that can be interpreted as admirable, it can also take a toll on the head of you guys. I want to know what your perspective is on the importance of celebration and just mental recovery after a victory, both if it's yours or from a teammate at a big race, for example.
It's different for every person, but I think I'm not like a great example of it. I haven't done a super good job of when I achieve something, like taking a moment to kind of take perspective on it or something. I think it's a hard thing to do because, especially in cycling, when you're going well and you win a race, there's always this like first internal feeling, but also the people around you like want to continue that form and like want you to keep, because they look at you and they think, oh, if you can win that, then you can win this race. And then, I mean, thankfully at this team that doesn't happen so much. It's not like we change people's calendars when they're on form or something. But I remember, at my previous team, that would happen all the time, and you kind of get raced out of shape eventually. But I think it is important and something that we can improve on in general in the whole sport, to kind of like when you do achieve something, like try to create some meaning out of it, because that's how you keep that motivation to keep achieving things. If you don't like celebrate in some way, whatever that means for every person, it's probably different, then you start to question why you're trying to achieve the things.
Yeah, is this something that the team staff actively transmits to you as well, from experience, maybe from members of the staff, like Risha, for example, used to be a racer? Is this something that he transmits to you, for example?
I mean, the best example I can think is like after the Vuelta this last year, we didn't have the opportunity to do the official podium ceremony and stuff, and it was cool to see how much effort the team put into like organizing some sort of celebration, because they know how important it is to not just like we won the Vuelta, and it would have been really easy, since the last stage was canceled, to just pack up and go home and try to forget about everything that happened. But I think they made that huge effort because they're very aware of the fact that like it's important to create that memory of like we did something and we should try to celebrate it, and like realize all the work, because it's not just the riders, like there were hundreds of staff that were behind the planning, and the chefs and the mechanics and soigneurs that were there and helping us even prepare for it. And I think it's important to like, they're very aware of how much that makes a difference going forward when you have a memory of celebrating and coming back together after doing something like that.
You've just a final question. Like, there's been a lot of piecing together of what happened on that day to organize the celebration. But are there tidbits or things behind the scenes that we as the media don't know about that you can share with us?
I don't even know how. I wasn't part of the organization at all. I just remember finishing, and I mean, as like riders, we were stuck with the police. Like we were in kind of they like drove us under Madrid, and we were in like tunnels under Madrid so that they could keep the convoy safe. And so we didn't have, as riders, you don't have your phone. So like we were just chilling in the car for a few hours in the tunnel. And by the time we came out and we got back to the hotel, like they were already organizing it. So I don't even know how they did it.
Just one final question from me as well. Obviously, a lot of the other teams are gearing up. More money are coming into the sport. Little Trek, Decathlon, Red Bull. Do you see yourself as the main competitors to UAE Team Emirates, who is probably the most successful team right now, or do you think you're being overtaken by these other teams? What do you expect from this season?
I spend zero energy or time thinking about that.
It's just the rest of us then.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I think we do our best and try to show up at every race we can to try to win. And I don't really sit there and compare. I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of other teams that are doing really well and preparing well, and so are we.
So you're not looking at other teams being like, oh, maybe I should go over there instead. They seem to have a better setup or something like that.
No, I don't do that.
Okay, thanks.
Matteo, you kind of joked about on stage, but obviously, unfortunately, Wout have another injury in that cross race a few weeks ago. But you're joking about how good he's looking and one training ride or whatever. Is it more positive than you expected it to be? Going to give it a fractured ankle, you think that's going to be really bad? Was it? Is what you've heard and seen the last couple of days more positive in terms of Wout than felt like the classic season?
No doubt, yeah. I don't know anything about it, but I remember when I heard that he broke his ankle, my dad, who's a doctor, was like, "Oh, that's going to be really bad," because I think ankle fractures many times can be quite. I don't know, that the ankle is probably a complicated joint, and so I think it can be quite a bit worse than it was, and I expected worse. When Wout sent me a picture, I don't know, maybe on one of the first days of the new year, and he was already pedaling on a trainer, I was like shocked. I thought it was going to be much different than that, but he looks pretty. Yeah, he was riding outside today, and I was surprised to even see him on the travel plan for this camp.
I remember from your movie star days that you used to have to, some parts of the season, go to training camps alone, organizing everything, then you move onto a different structure, more professional, more organized. How would you say that you've been developing? Especially what parts of your game have you improved, and what are you still working on compared to those movie star years?
I think when you arrive like in a structure like this where they have systems set up for all of that stuff, it first of all provides you with a huge like weight off of you of like not having to like have that mental load of like organizing camps and thinking, am I doing the right training? Am I like, do I need to hire a nutritionist? All of that stuff. But I think then you're left with the other, like, you're left with a bunch more time in your day actually, where you can like, you know, organize your life and do other things. And so I think that's what I've spent more of my time doing since I arrived here, was like setting up a life that is, I don't know, making me happy off the bike and supporting my time racing and making sure that I'm showing up to races like motivated and like content with myself, and I don't know, like not trying to manage like, you know, burnout, and trying to just be happy and be a happy person. And I don't know, that you're left with a lot more energy and ability to do that when you have those other things taken care of.
Did you lose weight? Did you gain watts? Was there physical consequences, positive or negative, from this change?
I'm a little bit, I mean, a little bit lighter. I'm definitely stronger. I feel like every year that goes by, you get a little bit stronger if you maintain consistent training. I was still pretty young until recently, so was developing, like my body was developing, and so I think it was just natural progression. But like I said, I think the biggest change is just your mental like capacity is opened up to other areas of your life.
And in the back of your mind, I know that you mentioned many times that you don't go to 3-week races to fight for the GC. For that you have Jonas Vingegaard, but he won't be here forever. So is it in the back of your mind to make that final step, because you're already a GC rider? But do you see yourself, or do you still have the hope to lose that amount of weight? I don't know if it's a weight issue. I noticed that sometimes you say that a rider with your weight, with your height, it would be difficult. But do you see that scenario as impossible, or in the back of your mind would you like to work towards winning a 3-week stage race?
Yeah, I think I've already put it as like an objective I'd like to go for in my career at some point, and I think it remains to be seen whether it's possible or not. I mean, you only know if you try and show up, and yeah, I really can't answer the question if it's possible, but I definitely would love to have the opportunity sometime to do it, and I'm sure in the next 4 years that we'll find a moment where I can put a lot of resources into going for one and really trying to do GC again to it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Sorry for all questions.
No, you're good. No worries. That was my last